So you are one of the originals.
Right. I was number 9. I've been on Gleevec now longer than anybody in the world, continuously on anybody. And that's kind of fun. Yeah.
Talk about that, being fun.
Yeah, it sounds really strange to say it was fun to have leukemia or to have this cancer, but it was really at the right time. I'm in place. I had been diagnosed in 95, and that's when they said 3 to 5 years is life expectancy. We went to Stanford University to look at the possibility of a bone marrow transplant. I listened to them there. I said, I don't want to spend a year of my 3 to 5 years in doing a transplant and all the side effects to get over that part of it, and then have 50% chance of surviving, which is what they gave me. And so I chose not to do that. And in 3 years, they said, well, sorry, but it's 3 years. And this is all the longer. It's not working anymore. But it had been announced in May of 96 that Dr. Drucker had gotten a translational grant from Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. It was in the newspaper, and it was on the radio. I'm a native Oregonian, but we were living in California at the time, and a friend of mine called and said, Judy, there's this new drug coming out, and, it's not there yet, but they're doing something, and I think you ought to get, in contact with him. So she gave me Dr. Drucker's number, and I think actually she called and gave him mine also, and we connected then, and he said, well, I'm still working on it. We hope that maybe next year that we'll have it ready to be trials. And so, okay, if I was interested, he put me on the list, keeping in contact. So they did that, and then it was not quite ready by September of 97, and it got moved. And by June of 98, I had a bone marrow transplant, and that's when they said, the interferon isn't working. The Ara-C you took for 7 months hasn't done anything, or if it did anything, we can't tell. And so at that point, Dr. Drucker was starting the trials, and I said, okay, I've
You
now
became
failed.
number 9.
I came up to see him in September, and he said, did I want to be on it? He went through and talked about, well, phase 1 is a trial in which people have no other hope. I mean, everything's gone, everything's been tried, you'll die without it, so people don't normally worry if you die on the trial because, you were going to anyway. But his comment was, it would really look bad to have somebody die on our study, and I'll do everything I can to make sure that you get, if there's any side effects, anything, we'll get you treatment for that. Well, it was just enough for me to say, yes, I'll sign up. So my husband and I were taking our 2 children, who are adults but not married, young adults, off to a trip. And I've heard of others taking this last trip, because there's nothing left for you. So we took off on our trip, and at the time, my platelets went sky high. I went off of interferon. The platelets went really high, and Dr. Drucker sent me off on our trip, which was out of the country, with a request for blood draws and for me to be given the information and medication for me to be taking to control those. And off we went to New Zealand, and I got 2 blood tests taken down there. The people were absolutely fantastic, and they gave me the information, and I knew what I was supposed to do, and lowering this other medication because it was working. And came back, and in January of 1999, I became patient number 9 on the phase 1 trial.
And tell me let's fast forward to today.
So
tell me what today means for you.
Today is just, when they say it's 10 years since the approval, for me it's almost 12 and a half years since I started Gleevec. So it's like an anniversary of my being alive, because when I started interferon or Gleevec, I wasn't sure that really, if we were talking 6 months at the point I got started on this, whether I would have been going into the wild stage or not, because I was starting that way. And so it was really it's been 12 and a half years kind of an extra bit of life.
And tell me about, you were planning your last trip, as a lot of people plan a last few experiences to have.
Yeah.
And now it's been 12 years.
Yeah, now it'd be nice to go on one of those trips again. Can't afford it now. We did that trip. They're grandchildren now, which we didn't have before. And then I was able to see the two. We have a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old, little girl and little boy. And it's really exciting to have them and to be a grandma.
Tell me what it's like every day, Judy. Does it pop up and occur to you, oh my gosh, I shouldn't be here, or I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Gleevec?
I don't really think about the cancer, leukemia anymore. I know I do First Connection for Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and I tell people that someday you won't wake up and go to sleep thinking about your cancer. And that happens. I remember that every few months I'm supposed to go and take a test to make sure everything's doing well, and it is. I'm very stable. I remember take my pills every morning. Other than that, I don't even have to think about it. Getting this announcement, oh my goodness, it's been 10 years, that since Gleevec was approved. It's kind of like, oh.
And what a gift that is.
Oh, it is.
Talk about that a little bit. A gift to not even be thinking about it when it was everything in every moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that being able to have gotten on Gleevec and doing so well gave me a life, and it provided me with the opportunity just to live as a normal person. Every day is just a new day, and I, face it just as though tomorrow is going to be there. You never know when tomorrow won't, but I don't have to think anymore about, well, maybe tomorrow the results will be bad, or maybe I won't be around in another month or so. And I can plan a year in advance of things I want to go and do, and put on the calendar. We do travel some, and it's kind of fun to figure out, well, now let's see, a year from now, yeah, we'd like to go about the middle of July to something, and I can just go ahead and plan that.
Pretty cool.
That is. It's really neat.
Last question. Tell me, you've had the longest relationship with Dr. Drucker, in a way.
In a way, there is.
There are others. Sure.
There is another person who has been from the Bend area who started before I did, and she still sees Dr. Drucker.
But you're one of the longest.
Yeah.
Tell me briefly, which I'm sure you could fill a book. What do you think about the guy?
Oh, I think Dr. Drucker's wonderful, and just having listened to him getting up there and talking. And his wife, when she interviewed him, said, what did you get most out of all your patients? And that was about living every day to the fullest. He said at the time he couldn't do that because he was spending all his time here. And I remember one evening we came home, and it was probably 11 o'clock, 11:30, and I thought, oh, I'm supposed to leave a message for Dr. Drucker. And I called to the number, and he answered the phone. It was like, oh my goodness, I disturbed him. No, it was the office, and he was there working still at night. And his wife informs me that he now has a life, and I think that's so nice. He came and told us, explained to us everything about what was going on, why he wanted to see certain counts, what they meant, filled us all in. And I know people from studies at other centers, and they didn't even always see the same doctor. Their counts and all their records went to a specific doctor, but they didn't get to see that one. And they had no idea who the other people were or what was going on. And Dr. Drucker did that for us. He made us a family, And so we were just all there together. And he said what he got from us, but I think we got more from him, and not just that we're alive, but the fact that he cared about us and was really wanted to make sure that we were all doing very well. And he's a unique individual. And when you talk about normal researchers, are these people who are so focused in on, just one thing. He wasn't,
Tell me about one of your favorite things that you are most thankful for because of this life you have been given.
I'm still married to my husband, and we're going to be looking forward one of these days, not in a couple of years, to our 50th wedding anniversary.
That's perfect.
And, you know, as he said when I was diagnosed, it wasn't supposed to be that way, you know,
Right.
for looking at the end coming so soon. So now we're looking toward realization that, you know, we might make 50 years.